Good evening and thank you for joining me on Black News Tonight. I'm Marc Lamont Hill. Tonight, South Carolina authorities are releasing video showing the moments before a mentally ill black man died while being pepper sprayed and tased several times by deputies. We want to show you the video, but I want to warn you, it may be hard to watch. It happened on January 5th inside a North Charleston jail. Deputies arrived at Jamal Sutherland's cell. They were supposed to escort him to a bond hearing for a misdemeanor assault charge, but officers say Sutherland took an aggressive stance. Now, the video shows the deputies using pepper spray and a stun gun while struggling to put on handcuffs. Sutherland died during this process of forced removal. Now, a spokeswoman for the Charleston County Sheriff's Office called the incident a, quote, horrible tragedy, and she said that the department is working on improving mental health awareness. Charleston County Solicitor Scarlett Wilson said that her office is reviewing the case and that any possible criminal charges would be brought before the end of June. Next week, voters in Pennsylvania will weigh in on greater protections against racial discrimination in the state. Civil rights groups are saying that if the amendment is approved by the voters, it could potentially lead to policy changes in housing and policing and, of course, in education. But the amendment was included in a vote that put two other unrelated proposals on Tuesday's primary ballot. Both of them were Republican measures designed to rein in a governor's executive powers during emergencies. But most Democrats voted against the measure because they view the other two pieces as a way of undercutting the current governor, who is, of course, a Democrat. If approved by voters, the amendment would add a section to the state constitution saying equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged because of someone's race or ethnicity. The Minnesota House has passed a proposal to legalize recreational marijuana use. It passed on a 72-61 vote after a nearly 5-hour debate on the House floor. The bill gained support from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, but it's likely to end there. Why? Well, because Republicans who control the Senate say they will not bring it up. Democrats say that the proposal will help address racial inequities in marijuana arrests and convictions among white and black residents, despite similar usage rates across races. House GOP members, though, say that several issues are problematic with the bill. They point to potential increases in driving under the influence. They talk about a lack of roadside tests for marijuana and uncertainty for businesses screening applicants who use cannabis. There are 17 states, including the District of Columbia, that have already legalized recreational marijuana for adults, of course. Students and activists across the country are pushing for colleges to pay reparations to victims of slavery and racial injustices that they say benefited the institutions. Recently, Brown University had students approve a resolution that called on the Rhode Island school to identify slave descendants and begin paying them reparations. Brown, of course, it's the nation's third oldest institution of higher education. They conducted a 3-year study and found that the university benefited from the slave trade that dominated the Rhode Island economy at the time of its founding. Now, this prompted school leaders to dedicate a slave memorial in 2014, among other efforts.
Brown's main financial commitment atoning for its benefit from the slave trade was a $10 million donation to the Providence Public School District. And while I 100% believe that we have a commitment to the city of Providence, our public schools are only 17% black. So how are we going to atone for legacies of anti-black racism and the enslavement of African peoples by giving money that isn't going to black people?
An anti-black racism task force is expected to deliver recommendations soon for how the school can further promote racial equity. There's also a push for reparations at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., but some slave descendants and students are dissatisfied with the efforts. The measure is to make amends for the 272 slaves that were sold, let me say enslaved Africans, we don't like to say slaves, forgive me, by Jesuit priests in 1838 to help settle the school's debt. That's right, they sold people to settle a debt. One of the main concerns about the reparations is how the money will be spent and whether slave descendants will have adequate say in the process.
I mean, if you're promising legacy admissions to people who live in areas that don't even have high schools, what are you really promising? nothing to me. So, I mean, I guess in an extent, since I was privileged enough to be in an area like New Orleans with a lot of schools and a lot of great education, I was able to benefit from that.
To the copy. Georgetown plans to award a $400,000 a year fund for community-based projects that benefit slave descendants sometime this year. I want to bring a guest in right now. His name is Omar Sabir. He is a very important person in the Philadelphia story that we just talked about. Fortunately, because we are BNC News, we were able to grab him live on the fly. Brother Omar, do I have you on the phone?
You got me, brother. How you doing now?
I can't complain. Talk to me about what's happening in Philadelphia.
Hey, listen, we have an important election Tuesday, May the 18th. Right now, the citizens, they can vote right now, or they can wait on vote on Tuesday, May 18th.
And talk to me about what's going on here. We're talking about racial equity, right? We're talking about, we mentioned that some of the changes from the amendment include policing, education, and housing. Talk to me about what those changes might be.
Well, we have question number 3 that's on the ballot, and it's a simple question. It says, shall the Pennsylvania Constitution be amended by adding a new section provided that quality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged because of an individual's race or ethnicity? So, I mean, this is a very important question. Yeah.
No, it's a super important question. I guess my question is, if this bill passes, do you think we'll see any kind of real impact in terms of racial equality?
Well, I mean, it's a question that's going to declare who we are as Pennsylvanians. This law doesn't expand existing federal protection. It reiterates them. So it's basically just adding, language for us to be included into the Pennsylvania Constitution. So it's very important. And, I think this, in addition to the other 4 questions and the candidates, we got the judges, district attorney, it's an important election. And people typically don't vote in this type of election. So we have to get the word out there so everyone can participate.
Absolutely. And the reason why we're covering this story on Black News Tonight is because, of course, Philadelphia is a black city with important developments around racial equality and racial equity that are at stake right now. But this is also a referendum on every city, every major city in the country. There are bills coming through that are being pushed forward, but there are also bills that are being thwarted. And there's an example happening right now in Philadelphia. There are 2 other amendments that are being grouped together with the bill you're talking about. And much of what people are fighting over isn't the contents of the racial equity bill, but whether they also are going to lump in this other stuff around whether or not the governor has emergency power, whether or not other rights and privileges are accessible to those in power. And so when you have a bill, then you have a bunch of stuff smuggled in. Sometimes what looks like a straightforward process can become a messy one. What are your thoughts on the fact that they tried to group this other stuff in?
Oh, listen, I mean, this is going to be a crowded ballot. So, we just want everyone to take their time while they're in the ballot. Again, you can vote from the comfort of your own home, or you could come, vote in person. But, take your time. Before you get to the ballot. And there's several rights groups as well that has made recommendations on how you should answer the questions. And they can explain it, just a little bit more further. Yeah. So you have like the Committee of 70, ACLU, NAACP, they have done the research. And, I just want to tell our constituents, to take their time, that you're not inside of a rush.
Absolutely. We're seeing a lot of bills focused on voting, not just in Pennsylvania, but around the country. Most recently, we had voter bills in Texas and Florida. Do you think that we'll see similar legislation happening in Pennsylvania around voting?
Oh, listen, it's coming. It's down the pipe. I mean, they up in Harrisburg, they have a whole view on voting that we don't have typically, and we want to make voting rights more accessible for people, to make it easier for people to vote. And, to be quite frankly, people saw the results of the election, and they want to make it harder for people to vote under the guise of voting security and voting integrity. So, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. You can call me back for that one. But, the reality is, for us to protect our voting rights, we have to exercise them. You know, we haven't been using. I'm gonna be frank. You know, we have gotten away from voting and why it's important, and we get resources and accountability every time we step into that voting booth. Every time we exercise our right to vote, that is hollow ground. People die for our right to vote, and unfortunately, you know, the Black and brown communities, you know, they don't take it seriously, especially younger voters is 18 to 35. So we definitely need to have grassroots organizations to touch the community and to remind them over and over again about why it's important to vote. And if you need any help voting, you know, we can, you know, get you to the polls. You know, we can, you know, explain these ballot questions. You know, we can check whether or not you're registered or not. You know, we need to hit the ground and talk about civics, you know, 12 months a year. And unfortunately, we don't do that.
Absolutely. And that's why this conversation in Philadelphia is one that everybody in the country needs to be paying attention to. Because every year, every election, often every 6 months, there is an election. Every year is an election year. Every election is a big election. There's always something at stake, and oftentimes the people who don't mean our communities well, they don't win because they're stronger or because they're smarter or because there's more of them. They win by the margin of us that don't engage. So I'm glad you're telling people to engage. Omar Sabir, thank you so much for joining me. Of course, he is the Philadelphia City Commissioner. Everybody, make sure you join the conversation as well. We want to hear from you, so make sure you head over to our BNC Instagram and Twitter page and let us know how you feel. You can check us out on the website as well at bnc.tv.